Alright, what's up everyone, I'm Faloki, and today we're going to be taking a look at a preview of the Week 5 matchup between the 4-0 Seattle Seahawks and the 1-3 Minnesota Vikings. This week's matchup against the Vikings will definitely be really interesting because it'll basically be like the Falcons matchup that we had in Week 1, which we did really well in. However, they have a very good run game. You know, the Falcons and the Vikings, they both have, you know, some pretty subpar pass defense, pretty subpar run defense, very good passing offense. However, unlike the Falcons, the Vikings have an amazing run offense right now. Dalvin Cook is playing amazing. He is #1 in rushing yards and #1 in rushing touchdowns, I believe. I think he has 400 yards and 6 touchdowns right around there. And he is playing very well. I mean, I think he had an injury scare last week, but I didn't see him on the injury report, so I'd assume he's going to be playing this week, and that'll definitely be an issue for the Seahawks defense. Against the Falcons, the Seahawks defense held Todd Gurley, who of course is a very good running back, to under 60 yards. He did have a touchdown, but honestly, playing against the Falcons, they weren't using the run very well. Of course, they were down most of the game because the Seahawks offense was playing very well with Russell Wilson in his first game of his historic season. But when it came down to it, the Falcons run game just wasn't very good, and it hasn't been amazing this entire year. I mean, with Todd Gurley, who's a premier running back, he's just not really getting the numbers he's used to because the Falcons offense isn't really built to be a run offense. I mean, you can tell by how they blow leads almost every single game because they really can't get the run game going to waste clock. And I mean, that's going to be the difference in this game. We did really well against the Falcons. It's going to be basically the same thing other than Dalvin Cook. If we don't focus on him enough, it can absolutely torch us. Of course, the Vikings did trade away Stephon Diggs in the last offseason, but they do still have Kirk Cousins, who's a really good quarterback. This is a Sunday night game, so maybe he'll just fold under the pressure of the primetime game. However, Adam Thielen, he's still a really good wide receiver, and Justin Jefferson is breaking out right now. He is playing amazing. He's making big plays. He's just a playmaker out there, and that'll definitely be an issue for our secondary, which is pretty prone to giving up some pretty big plays. The Vikings have some really good tight ends as well, so this will definitely be a very big challenge for our secondary and our defense as a whole. Really, our run defense is going to have to be great against Dalvin Cook, the #1 running back in the league right now. Our secondary is going to need to be really good against Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson, and some very good tight ends. Definitely potential of that offense going off because Dalvin Cook, he can make big plays. That passing game can make big plays. Really, we just need to play very good all-around defense, and this is really going to be what shows it for us because, of course, the Dolphins, we gave up some yards, but we were ahead again. We need to be able to go ahead and have our defense be able to maintain that lead, getting stops, not allowing them to just pass and catch up. The Seahawks are the worst passing defense when it comes to yards allowed in 2020 so far. I mean, they aren't giving up a ton of touchdowns, so that's nice, but they aren't very good in the pass defense, of course, and with so much talent, you would like to see them play better. Quinton Dunbar is questionable for this game, and Jamal Adams is out. Jordan Brooks is out as well, so this is definitely going to be a difficult game with still some pretty big injuries. Hopefully Quinton Dunbar will be able to play because Trey Flowers has just been getting bullied for the past 2 games, so if Quinton Dunbar can come back and hopefully fill that spot and play well, that'll definitely be nice. But our run defense is #3 in the league, so I think that Dalvin Cook, although he will be a big challenge, I don't think he's going to go for like 200 yards or anything crazy. I'd like to think that our defense would be able to hold them to 100 yards or less. The Vikings offense has a ton of big play potential. Dalvin Cook is an amazing running back. He can just gash the defense for 50 yards and a touchdown if we give him the opportunity. Justin Jefferson has been making big plays. He can make big plays on our secondary if we aren't careful, and Adam Thielen is an amazing wide receiver. He can make the defense pay if we don't focus on him well enough. So honestly, we really need to play a very good defensive game, but I don't 100% trust our defense at the current moment in time, so I would like to see our offense try to just get a lot of points really quick. When I'm looking at this game, I definitely think it's going to be a messy game when it comes to the defenses of both sides. I think this is going to be a very offensive heavy game, like most Seahawks games have been so far. Russell Wilson's going to do very well. The run game's probably going to do fine, and I mean, the defense is going to do amazing, so the other team's offense is going to do really well. It's going to be kind of like an outscoring match like the season pretty much has been so far, and I have 100% confidence that Russell Wilson can outscore any other quarterback in the league. I think our offense is really good. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, very good. David Moore is playing amazing right now. Greg Olsen has been having some pretty good hands when it comes to those 3rd down conversions. Will Dissly, I mean, he can still make big plays. He really hasn't had the opportunity. Chris Carson is actually doing really well out of the backfield in the pass game. He is doing very well in the run game as well. So I'm very confident in this Seahawks offense right now. I think we have a great offense. Our defense is not looking good, but I definitely think we can run with any team when it comes to scoring. We can definitely score a lot of points if if we need to, and I think that that's going to be the case in this game, like basically every other game this season so far. Last week against the Dolphins, Russell Wilson only had 2 touchdowns to 1 interception, which isn't bad, but it's definitely nowhere close to the standards that Russell Wilson has been playing to so far this season. I definitely think that against the Vikings, Russell Wilson can get back to that 3, 4, 5 touchdown type of game, because the Vikings game, I definitely think it's going to be very offensive heavy, like I've been saying. The defenses don't look good on either side, so I definitely think this is really just going to be a matter of outscoring teams, and Russell Wilson can definitely score touchdowns, which we've seen so far in this season, and it's definitely going to be something that we need this week against the Vikings, because if I'm predicting right, both defenses are going to play poorly, both offenses are just going to be outscoring each other, and Russell Wilson, I mean, he's going to need to put up some touchdowns, he's going to need to put up some stats if he's going to want to win MVP, because Dak Prescott is putting up hundreds of yards with, good amounts of touchdowns in garbage time, basically losing the entire game, just throwing to try to get back in the game, like teams against Seattle, which is why our pass defense is so bad. But I mean, Russell Wilson, I can see a definite chance that he gets robbed of MVP this year. Right now it's kind of a consensus, but if he kind of plays that like 2 touchdown winning football type of thing, although we're winning and we're going to do very well if he plays like that, he's not going to get MVP because he's not playing all flashy. He's not scoring 500 yards and 4 touchdowns, losing by 12 points, I definitely think that Russell Wilson, if he's going to want to win MVP, he needs to start scoring more touchdowns per game, because I think that MVP voters are going to find any reason not to vote for him, because he's just too basic. He's not super flashy. He just wants to win games. And although that's great for a football team, MVP voters, the media, it's not the greatest thing to talk about, because, you see Russell Wilson, he got a 5 touchdown game, he got another 5 touchdown game, and everyone's talking on the media like, oh, look, Russell Wilson, he's doing really well, and then Dak Prescott has 500 yards and 4 touchdowns in a losing game, and everyone is just hyping him up to the max, and Josh Allen is playing really well. So Russell Wilson, if he's going to want to win MVP, he really needs to pick it up and play really well in the pass game, and I think that that's something that he's going to do this week for sure. And when it comes to the run game, last week we had 80 yards on 2 touchdowns for Chris Carson. I think Chris Carson is going to continue to do really well. He's a very good running back. I think he's going to do fine. He has basically set his goal to play 16 games, and hopefully he won't get injured. I mean, he's a really good running back. I think he'll do fine. I definitely think he's going to lower his touchdowns. I don't think he's going to get 2 touchdowns, because Russell Wilson's going to need to start throwing some touchdowns, getting those stats up, padding his stats a little bit. But I do think the run game is still going to continue to do fine. DK Metcalf in the passing game is tied for number 1 when it comes to receiving yards, so he's definitely doing really well. I think he's going to continue to do well, probably get over 100 yards once again. Tyler Lockett, I think he's going to do much better than last game, where he only had 39 yards, no touchdowns. He really didn't get into the game too much. Definitely going to pick it up this game, but overall, I think our offense is going to be doing very well. So will the Vikings offense most likely, but ideally our offense will do well and our defense will do well, but that's really not how football goes every single game. So overall, when it comes down to this game, this is going to be a great Sunday night football game to watch. It's definitely going to be an offensive showing. The defenses aren't very strong. Maybe the Seahawks defense will just pick it up and the passing defense will just stop the Vikings completely, but I don't think that that's going to happen. Dalvin Cook is going to be really good. This is going to be a big challenge for our run defense, and overall, it's just going to be a good game. I definitely think that both teams have a shot of winning it. The Seahawks, I would say, are going to win it. I think every prediction for every single one of these games is going to be the Seahawks winning. Overall, I think we go 12-4, but when I look at every single individual game, I think every one can possibly be a win, except for maybe the Bills. I definitely think we're going to lose to the Bills, especially after a bye week. But when it comes to this game, I think the Seahawks are going to win in a high-scoring affair by 1 touchdown, maybe 10 points at max. But the Vikings, I definitely could see them winning by a touchdown or 10 points in a high-scoring affair. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. It can go either way, but I'm going to lean to the Seahawks, of course, because I'm definitely biased. I'm a Seahawks fan, of course, and I think the Seahawks are going to win. Russell Wilson's going to pick it up, and he's going to carry us to victory, basically. For this game, my prediction is going to be 42-34, a win for the Seahawks. I definitely think it can go either way. It could go to the Vikings, maybe 42-34 or something a little bit closer in the 30s. But I think either team can win this. I'm going to say the Seahawks win this. I'm going to put my faith in Russell Wilson over Kirk Cousins, especially in a primetime game. But I definitely think it's going to be a fun game to watch. I don't think this is going to be a game where the Seahawks just steamroll, just completely through a team. I don't think there's really going to be many games where that happens. And the Seahawks haven't played a divisional game yet this year. And once we get into the divisional games, it's definitely going to be interesting. The Cardinals are looking really good. The 49ers are dealing with a lot of injuries, but they're still a really good team. The Rams are playing really well. So the divisional games this year are going to be very interesting, and a lot of losses are going to potentially come out of those. But right now, Vikings, I definitely have a lot of faith in Russell Wilson to come back after that pretty weak showing against the Dolphins when it came down to it, although it was a very good win. I do think we come back. I think our offense plays out of their mind. Our defense is going to continue to play poorly. The Vikings Vikings do well on offense, but I do think we come out with the win, an 8-point victory in a very high-scoring game. And with that, that's going to do it for this video. Both the Seahawks and the Vikings are dealing with some injuries. I think that the Seahawks are dealing with much bigger injuries than the Vikings are, but I think they're going to affect both teams. But make sure you leave down below in the comments what your predictions are, what you think about this matchup. And with that, I'd like to thank you for watching. Make sure you leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new. Have a great day.